The people who believe in something the longest, those are the people who make it. And you gotta believe in it long and longer, long before and longer than anyone else.
What if that person didn't have the courage to change their dreams? What if they had given up? What if they had let the judgment of their parents or their grandparents or their family or their friends stop them?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Will people think I'm arrogant for celebrating my wins today? Happy Friday. You need to believe in it long before anyone else will. Taryn and I are doing something where we have Sunday date days, and I planned one last weekend where we went to the theater and we saw Grease, the musical. This weekend was Taryn's day to plan. So she said, all right, we have to be in Boston for 2 p.m. And that's all I got. That was my hint. And that was just, I got my itinerary and I just do my thing. So we get in the car, I drive because I usually do the driving. We put in the GPS, stop for a coffee and a tea. Boom, we're off to Boston. So we park in the garage, we walk probably like a couple blocks, and she said, do you have any idea what we're doing? And I was like, honestly, no. We get there, and we went to Blue Man Group. You ever been to Blue Man Group?
Yeah,
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
For those who don't know what Blue Man Group is 3 performers that are painted blue, and they're on stage, and there's probably like 300 people there. It's a small playhouse. And they do these really cool musical skits. But I guess it's a lot more than music. It's basically live performance, but there's music and they do different, I don't know, they will like throw marshmallows across the stage at each other and they catch them in their mouth. It's really cool. It's this really cool performance. And Taryn got pulled up on stage, which was really cool too.
Nice. For what?
Yeah, it was cool. I was nervous for her because I thought they were going to steal her away from me. I was going to have to go up there and, you know what I'm saying?
Throw
these hands. But
what did she get pulled up on stage for?
It was this skit they did, spoiler alert for anybody who's going to go to Blue Man, this skit they did where they put 5 chairs up on the stage, and they found Taryn and they found a gentleman. They bring them up on stage, and then they sit in the middle. So the 3 blue guys sat in the middle of Taryn and this guy. Mm-hmm. Then a phone rings, and Taryn picked it up because they don't talk, so they can't pick it up. And then another phone rings, and so Taryn was talking to this guy on the stage and like just trying to have a conversation, which is really awkward when you don't know this person and everybody's watching you. And then they ended up pulling out flowers, and the guy gave Taryn the flowers, and then they gave Taryn a gift, and she gave to the guy, and it was kind of this, you're going to date each other kind of thing. And then there was a little bit of Twister, you know the game Twister? Mm-hmm. But at the end, they ended up handcuffed together. Like they're basically in love. So it was a funny skit. But we were leaving, and I always try to, when I'm out doing anything, I'm always trying to take lessons that I can bring back to the podcast. I'm always doing that. That's one of the reasons I like doing things. And when we were leaving, I said, babe, how many weird looks, weird comments, and how much do you think they were made fun of in the beginning of this journey?
Right.
Because I saw in the pamphlet that the Blue Man Group started in 1991. 1991. I was born
I saw them when I was like 10.
I did too. I saw them when I was young. And they've come a long way. There's the production's wild. It's really cool. They play all over the place. I don't know if you're listening, if they have it where you are, but
Did
it's
they
definitely
do
worth doing.
the drums on the
Pipes? Yeah.
On the pipes and then the brushes, the brooms?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
cool.
now there's like a live band too. There's like a live
Nice.
band up on the second level that play. It's really cool. It was really cool. But when we were leaving, we were walking into the parking garage, and I said, imagine how much they were made fun of.
Right.
3 guys who painted themselves blue, and then just did weird stuff. Like I bet you nobody believes in them. Mm-hmm. Everybody probably made fun of them. They said, what are you guys doing? You're painting yourself blue and you're performing in the streets? Like, this is the dumbest shit ever. Now they got they got acquired by Cirque du Soleil in 2017. Cirque du Soleil is that's the company.
How much? Do you know how much?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know.
I'll
but now I think there's I think there's 90 blue men across the globe. But that's why I wanted to do this episode. You need to believe in it long before anyone else will. This was 3 humans who said, you know what, we're going to paint ourselves blue and we're going to throw marshmallows across the stage at each other. We're going to catch them in our mouth and we're going to do these different performances and we're going to play music on things that aren't really instruments. And at the end, they have this thing. And again, spoiler alert, if you've never been, turn it, and you want to go, turn it off because I don't want to wreck it for you. But at the end, they come out with these leaf blowers that have paper mache attached and they spray it all over the audience and there's strobe lights and neon lights and paint all over the place. It's awesome.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I guarantee they were laughed at by almost everybody that they knew because it sounds unreasonable. But now, and I had this moment, I was like, how cool is that that's what they get to do for a living now? Like they literally get to do what they love. That's awesome. But in the beginning, everybody made fun of them probably because
Definitely.
It had never been done before.
Not probably.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Imagine leaving corporate, talking to your parents, saying, "Hey, I'm going to start my own business."
Ooh.
And they're like, oh, "Okay, yeah, interesting. Okay, well, it's risky, but
you thinking finance or something?
Yeah,
advertising.
Yeah. No. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna paint ourselves blue. I don't know why, but during that entire story, if you notice, I was laughing. I don't know why, but I was thinking, imagine if you paid money to go to Blue Man Group and they were all dressed in green. I don't know why, but my mind kept going there.
Something I could see them doing.
It would be alarming.
That would be.
So
alarming.
I did look it up, by the way. All the people in the beginning that made fun of them, their parents, their aunts, uncles, whatever, friends for sure. We got made fun of for starting a podcast. That was actually like not that out there, all things considered, compared to painting ourselves blue. And they got acquired. So in 2015, Cirque's founder,
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. They were purchased for $1.5 billion.
Ooh. Wow.
So how did it go from an idea of three friends who are like, you know what, I have a really good idea. Let's paint ourselves blue and let's do these performances and it's going to be wild, to being made fun of, to like 17 years later, or however many years later, they're billionaires. Some of them, I don't know, because split 3 ways, maybe not billionaires, but they're 100 millionaires for sure. And that's awesome. Good for them.
It is awesome.
Good for them.
I left super inspired. I told Taryn, I said, I love stuff like this because it makes me super inspired to see people that they're just doing what they love. They get to do this. It's like, they're like big kids. They're big kids who get to perform in front of a bunch of people who love what they do. And it's just, I had to do an episode on it. Couldn't not.
I have a client. I don't know why this made me think of it. Sorry to interrupt you, brother.
Good. I'm used to it.
I have a client who used to do chess. He was like a very, very good chess player. And we were talking, and in my coaching, I'm always trying to talk about how to undistort his reality. And I talk about the cognitive biases. We've talked about that on this podcast. The cognitive biases is just in psychology, mental distortions, essentially, of why we think so inaccurately and irrationally as human beings. Anyways, he's like, oh, I know the biases. Like perception. I studied perception. I was like, when? Like, why? Like chess? And he's like, no, I used to be a magician. So I had to like figure out, because that's what magicians do. Yeah. It's not really magic. They just mess with your mind through perception. And, what is it called? Like if I get you to look over here while I'm doing something over here, deception, or I don't know what it's called. But anyways, that made me think of that too. It's just, I don't know where I was going with that, but essentially at one point my client was a magician, was trying to practice to be a magician. And I thought about that too. How many people out there wanted to make a living being a magician or a musician, or, when Eminem wanted to be a rapper, when most of the rappers at that time were not of his ethnicity. It's like, I don't know. That's why one of my favorite songs in the entire world is Airplanes with Eminem's feature, where what if Marshall Mathers never picked up a pen?
Yeah.
Things would have been no different. It's what if he had no motivation? That, like, all of us, all the things you look at around you, this is one of my favorite episodes. It all was created in someone's imagination first. Blue Man Group, it could have been Red Man Group, it could have been Blue Green Group, it could have been Red Fish, Blue Fish, Two Fish, whatever. You know what I mean? It's Barney. Like, who made purple dinosaurs, right? everything is created in the imagination first. And very few people believe in themselves enough to manifest that imagination into reality. I mean, I was thinking about this. So Emilia and I watched a movie. Kev, if you've not seen this movie, man, at some point you should. It's just wonderful. Taryn would love it. Secretariat.
With the Haas? The
With the
Haas
horse.
racing?
Yeah, horse racing. And it's just a magnificent movie, man. It's just so well done. And when we were getting ready to watch this movie, we wanted to watch it for a while because Emilia used to have horses, and then in the future we'll have horses again. Way future.
Cowboy Jeff.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. Cowboy Jeff in the mountain range.
I might be
ranges
most
of
excited
Montana.
about that. I'm excited for the future, but seeing you with a cowboy hat and a piece of straw in your mouth on a horse, that's what I'm playing for now.
I don't know if I'll have the cowboy hat or the straw, but I'll definitely have a horse. Okay. And his name will be Jeff. No, I'm kidding. But that movie, when we were opening it, Disney has its like beginning portion. This is produced by Disney. And I remember thinking to myself, like, how many Disney movies have like inspired me in my life? And I was like, you know what? I'm so grateful that company exists. And I was thinking about that with Pixar too, and all these different companies. At one point, all these companies were just somebody with a crazy idea that believed in it enough to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. One of my favorite things in the whole world is that. And I do this in my speeches. I'll do this real quick. Everyone think of a movie or a book or a person. No. A movie, a book, a business, or a product or service that has genuinely changed your life. What just came to mind is the allergist that Kevin and I went to. We both have kittens now. We were both allergic to cats before. Mm-hmm. At one point, someone figured that out and then built a business, and then you and I went to get our allergies fixed, and now we are not allergic to cats, and we both have cats. Like, think as a listener of something that's changed your life. What if that person didn't have the courage to change their dreams? What if they had given up? What if they had let the judgment of their parents or their grandparents or their family or their friends stop them? And what if Kevin and I had let the judgment of our friends and family stop us from starting this podcast? You literally would not be listening to us right now. That's a fact. This would not exist. And so if you can just keep that at the forefront of your mind while you're grinding and while you have these ideas, you never know what could be. And I think that's what makes life so cool, is the ability to believe in something enough to prove yourself right especially when everyone doubts you.
My name is Nathan Schwermann. I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. I've been a client of Alan's for coming on 2 years now, and I really can't recommend his program enough. Alan's always there for me with great advice and holding me accountable every step of the way, and really leading by example. I've grown a lot in his program, but he's grown alongside with me, so I'd really recommend joining up on the program and joining the community.
I had a moment where you're saying that, Alan, where I know a lot of people might say, well, I'm not trying to do the Blue Man Group. I'm not trying to start Disney or Pixar. That's a good thing, because the odds are it's going to be way easier for you to do whatever it is you want to do. Like, that's actually a good I mean, I'm not saying that's good that you shouldn't, but then that's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do. Maybe you don't want to do the Blue Man Group, or maybe the Blue Man Group version 1.0. There was big fights on this weekend, and I worked on our taxes from, 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. It was brutal. I hate it. Oh my God, it was brutal. But I watched these fights, and I had a moment. Shout out to Derek. I was texting Derek while we were watching the fights. I had a moment where they sold out Madison Square Garden. Okay, Madison Square Garden, one of the most famous arenas on the planet. I've been watching Ultimate Fighting, the UFC particularly, mixed martial arts, but UFC is the company. Think of it as the league. I've been watching that, I don't even know, man, since I was in high school. I mean, we graduated in 2007. I've probably been watching UFC for close to 20 years. And I remember when there was nobody in the crowd. Not really nobody. When it was coming up. I remember when it was illegal in New York. It was not legal in the state of New York to have that. And now they're selling out that arena. And it's the same thing where the people who were putting it on believed in it enough to keep it going. And they were bought by Disney's parent company, whatever it's considered, for I think $4 billion. They were acquired for $4 billion. And that for a long time was, we're not going to show it on TV. Again, it's violent. There's blood, whatever. I don't think it's any more violent than football is, honestly, if you think about it. But there was a lot of people who didn't believe in that. But there are the people who did believe in it. The people who believe in something the longest, those are the people who make it. And you got to believe in it long and longer, long before and longer than anyone else. And that goes back to the episode that we did recently where we talked about judgment. The Blue Man Group, they believed in it, and they were probably judged, and they said, this is what we love doing, whatever. Like, you can judge us if you want. At least we're happy. We love what we're doing. And they went on to make that something awesome. And
nobody's
awesome.
Judging them now.
Well, maybe. Maybe they are. But
yeah, but
in a good way.
It's so interesting, isn't it? That's really cool.
Them.
I love that. Yeah, in a good way, they're judging them.
I was super excited to do this because when I left, I was like, we got to do an episode on the Blue Man Group.
You got to. And I remember, going to see them too. It really was magnificent. And that's even back then. I bet you they've gotten better.
It's wild.
When you were talking about you don't have to want to start Pixar or Disney or Blue Man Group, a lot of the other thing people need to realize, and again, I was so inspired this week by these two empowered women who reached out to start this company. And it's like they want to start their own unique flavor of like a Lululemon type, but like more athletic and for a cheaper price. It's a whole thing. But I bet you Lululemon and Blue Man Group and Pixar and Disney and all these places at the beginning, they didn't know that it was going to be a $1.5 billion company. I bet you the three guys, they weren't like, hey, we're going to go start $1 billion company. They probably were like, let's start small and build.
They started on the street.
That's what I mean.
Doing it on the street in New York, I think.
Things can become a lot bigger than you thought. And I'm of the belief that you should aim high, of course. But like, just because you don't want to start a Pixar doesn't mean you can't start a Pixar. Because even Pixar at the beginning, before Steve Jobs got there, they were just a small little production company. So you never know what can happen. That's kind of the point, is keep that open mind. Kev, I wanted to read this from the article that I'm writing. It's not published yet, and then we'll go. So this article that I'm publishing it's labeled Micro Failure for Macro Success. In this context, consider this micro judgment for macro success. In other words, Blue Man Group starts a company that seems so far-fetched to everyone else, but they believe in it enough to stick with it. No belief versus belief. If you have high belief, you're likely to try just about anything to achieve your goals. If you don't, however, you're unlikely to try much of anything. Imagine wanting a new job without believing it's possible, or wanting to date someone you don't believe would ever be interested in you. Desire is the starting point, but it's not sufficient by itself. It has to be accompanied by belief. It's like a car without gas. Desire translates into tangible action only if there's enough belief in the tank first. Car analogies.
Love it.
3 beliefs must be present before any action occurs. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, you must believe it's possible for you, and that it'll be worth it. Imagine you want to start a podcast but have a deep fear of judgment. You believe it's possible in general, but not necessarily possible for you. You've never felt good enough, and even if you did, you're not sure it's worth risking judgment. What are the chances you will start that podcast? What are the chances you'll stick with it when times get tough? Now imagine someone with high belief. They're scared too, but they genuinely believe it's possible if they put in the work. I have to burp. I apologize. Since their belief is high, they cannot stand the idea of not trying. They'd rather try and fail 1,000 times than live with that what-if feeling. They're petrified of failure and criticism too, but they know it'll all be worth it once they're successful, because they believe they'll be successful. When broken down like that, it's easy to see why so many people don't achieve their dreams. Why would someone pay a painful price today for a promise that's so uncertain? This is why so many people fail before they even start. It's an inner game. All great things begin with believing in something no one else can see yet, and that's where you need to start too. And then I go into, having you rate your beliefs 0 to 10. How much do you believe it's possible for me, and then worth it. And then I break down the math of how to actually calculate your chances. But essentially, in that article, what I'm trying to help people understand is this concept of everything you see around you at one point was in someone's mind that they believed in long before the world believed in it. And some things took off quicker than others, but at the end of the day, it all started with belief.
Shout out to the Blue Man Group.
Shout out to the Blue Man Group.
Maybe one day we'll interview them, the founders, the original founders.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool. That'd be different. Be a different interview. Yeah, I just second everything Alan said. I don't have a dramatic reading or anything. I have a Starburst wrapper here. Does it say anything? No. Nothing of note.
Nothing of value.
That's all I have. That's kind of the theme, or that was the theme last week, but it touches on the judgment episode. A lot of us want other people to believe in what we're doing, but if you don't believe in what you're doing, nobody else is going to. Because it would be delusional. It would be delusional for them to believe in something that you don't, if you're committing your life to it. Not saying, everybody has different beliefs, obviously. So yeah, just make sure that you understand that a lot of people aren't going to believe in you. And that's just the way it is. And I have empathy for that now. I completely understand. A lot of people probably thought we were crazy, and that's fine. But we believed in it long enough to make it a reality. You can do the same thing. That is the premise of this episode. Next level nation. I don't know if I've mentioned this on this podcast. I have another podcast called Podcast Growth University. It is obviously similarly branded to Next Level University. If you're a podcaster and you want to learn more about podcasting, again, we want to give as much value as humanly possible. It's completely free, just like this. I do not do 7 episodes a week. I do 1 episode a week, but I would love for you to listen if you are a podcaster. And if you are a podcaster who's looking for help, I do free calls. Just like Alan does a lot of free calls with the NLU listeners, I do a bunch of free calls with podcasters. So if you are interested, you want to ask me anything about what we've done, I want to add value. No strings attached, not a sales call. Just want to add value. We will have the link in the show notes.
It was about a year ago. I was on the phone with a listener. Zoom. We never used the phone. I don't know why we don't just say Zoom. I was on Zoom with a listener, and it was after group coaching, and I offer a free 30-minute, Zoom optional session after group coaching. Total surprise. Spoiler alert. And it was a really tough call. A lot of difficult truths. I knew this person fairly well at this stage. She had already talked to Kevin a bit. Obviously, she went through group coaching, so I knew her. And a lot of difficult truths, and it was one of the hardest calls she said she's ever had. But after that, she got off the call, and she ended up moving across the country. And a year later, she randomly just booked on another group coaching session. Fast forward. She has a new relationship. She has started a podcast. She has flourished in so many magnificent ways, and she has since said that call is what changed it all for her. And all I really did on that call was help her understand herself at a deeper level that her intuition was already saying, but I just really helped her understand to trust it, to really trust that intuition and to lean into it. So that's what Next Level Business Solutions really is about, and that's why we offer a free call at the end of group coaching, is because it's just a deeper layer. Group coaching is amazing. It's unbelievable, and it's a group setting, and I think there's a lot of benefits to that's beyond even what one-on-one coaching can do in terms of the accountability. But when it comes to going deeper into what's really holding you back in terms of identity, in terms of belief systems, just like this episode, book a free call with me. I'm not going to sell you my coaching. I'm going to meet you. I love to meet the listeners. At very least, you're going to understand yourself, other people, or the world at a deeper level. And most importantly, I'll actually help you understand how to actually get to your dreams. A lot of people have a dream, but they have no idea how to do it. I can help you with the how. I might not change your entire life in a half an hour, but I can definitely change your direction in a half an hour. So, and if you change your direction, it can change your entire life. So book. The link will be in the show notes to book on my calendar, and choose a half hour, and I look forward to meeting you.
Boom. Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 1167. Why are you actually doing what you're doing? We had some questions in either I think it was the last session of group coaching, and it made me think of this episode, so I'm very excited to do that. As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you, and at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. Also, thank you for believing in us, because I think we're the Blue Man Group. We're, you know what I mean? We were doing something different too. So we are grateful. No fans, all family, and NLU.
Please reach out.